So good evening, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We are getting everything squared away. Welcome to part two of our second day of our performance series. Tonight, you're going to see a very intimate close-up sharing of Cooper going into Butoh. Butoh is a very special art form. It takes up its own space, and without much further ado, I want to just give, similar to earlier today, in our part one of the second day, give a shout out to those who have helped us get here. Thank you, Ruth Punkstafone, for your generosity with supporting us. Cooper as well has much thanks to you. Thank you for letting us use your, thank you for hosting us in your Zoom venue, and thank you for Jay Ruby for 2 years ago, starting Intersection Solo Festival 2 years ago, and the year prior it was a very, very socially embedded festival in the community here in Prescott, Arizona. However, due to COVID, the festival last year was canceled. With an unanticipated return date. The festival was since then transformed very much, and Jay approached several different groups and artists, and a few students decided to jump on the opportunity to make some kind of rendition of that performance series festival. So thank you to those who have supported us. And without further ado, here's Cooper Butoh.
I got it.
All right. So that was Cooper sharing her Butoh experience. Hello, Cooper. Take a moment. Can everyone hear me all right?
I can hear you now.
Okay. If you feel up to talking, I have questions. Your choice of music and all is very fitting given that you're in the building that is called the chapel.
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone in attendance, people in the audience on Facebook and here on Zoom. Thank you all for your support. The choice of music had everything to do with sort of the poetry of this dance, the Butoh. Sivan, you talked about that earlier in your performance, sort of a very loose, not necessarily structure in the way we might think of structure as like limiting, but a kind of structure that is a source of inspiration that came after the dance. So this music pieces were both essentially created for this Butoh in a way, or recreated from other pieces of music. So the first song that you heard during my performance is a rendition of Spiritus Sancti Vivicans, composed by the Catholic nun Hildegard. I can't remember the rest of her name right now, but Hildegard was a nun. I believe it was in the 1300s. She composed a lot of music. like beautiful hymnals that are very ancient and full of a lot of inspiration and what feels like wisdom. So my inspiration for creating that song came from an exploration of Joan of Arc, the iconographic sort of figure of female soldier. And that song, I worked with some of my co-artists to sing the original composition. We took the libretto of the original piece and created something together that was a little bit more modern and had a little bit more of the darkness in it that can kind of come with spiritual inspiration and intervention of the other sort of world on our world. So that is the first piece, sort of the exploration, female soldier, battle between good and evil, a struggle within being revealed with like such beauty through the voices, and it's in Latin. And I love how that kind of gives a anachronistic sort of feeling to this Butoh, a timelessness, which I think is a big part of how Butoh shows up, is that loss of time. The second song that you heard for this Butoh is a track called Rebellion, which goes along with the first track of Joan of Arc and the fight between good and evil. Rebellion is a song that I composed with an ongoing exploration of what rebellion is inside of me and warfare inside myself in this female body. Rebellion to me feels like contractions and whispers and hushed voices, and intuition, I would say, is how rebellion really fits into this Butoh. So yeah, both pieces of music were very much co-created with this dance, and neither of them happened before or after the other.
Mm-hmm. It seems like it came together quite seamlessly. I'm curious, Cooper, because I've known you for a while now. I know that you have a professional background in cosmetology, the beauty industry, and much of your work that I have known you in is exploring uh, oppressive narratives of femininity and also masculinity. Um, but so considering your background in the beauty industry and cosmetology, what does Butoh on this end feel like with that part of you? You know, they kind of feel visually, quite obviously, like contradicting forces that are existing in the same body. So I'm really curious to hear you talk a little bit about that contradiction within you.
Wow, thank you. That is such a profound question to me. Um, Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so I do come from a background of cosmetology, makeup artistry, like runway shows, photo shoots, you know, modeling and getting every detail just right in the face that is organic. Skin, hair are organic, and so they are unpredictable. There are so many ways that, like, you can intend for the paint to go on the paper a specific way, and if it doesn't go on that way, you can blame, you know, yourself or the paper or the paint or the brush. But with cosmetology, there is this factor that the medium is the human, and I feel like that really aligns with Butoh, and I see them coming together in that way, that the medium is organic and therefore unpredictable, transitory, transformative, and never the same. The way that it kind of contradicts, however, is that I currently feel like a cracking porcelain doll. What this is white clay that I just made water, and as it was drying, I began to feel like I was coming apart, like how wind sweeps sand off of a dune and just picks it up and carries it somewhere else. That's kind of how this clay feels on my body. And it's definitely not intended to be visually creepy or grotesque. The real feeling of this clay is part of the dance that I just experienced tonight alongside anyone watching. The slow drying and crackling movement of this clay feels very unbeautiful, very disintegrative, and even I would say unsure is kind of how this feels. And I could have done, a true makeup look. I could have put layers of makeup and other types of paint on my body, but this clay that I've put on is so essential to this dance, feeling timeless and disintegrative, and the dissolution of the self during battle. It's hard to feel where the clay is just clay and it's not my second skin that is wrinkling and cracking. And that feels just as much part of rebellion dance as the music, as the setting. We're currently performing from a chapel where I have practiced Butoh with both Sivan and Jocko. And I have made some really interesting spirit friends in this room that I could feel pushing my back. Just I could feel them watching and their hands, right behind me, helping me to go and stop and twitch and breathe and grunt. I really felt just now like I was a tunnel that was just being pushed. Everything was being pushed through this tunnel, like a wind tunnel of like, this body is here, me, and I relinquish some kind of ego over this to do this kind of work. And when I do that, it definitely, that space gets filled with another sort of organic life that is perhaps unperceived to everyone except me. And that's okay.
Before I ask another question, I'm trying to figure out if, so I pinned you on my video, so you're big for me, but I'm not sure if for the recording it's spotlighted you. Is that what it looks like for you as well?
No, we are all on the screen evenly on the live stream, it looks like.
Do you want to pin yourself?
Sure.
That way it'll be a little bit more obvious who's talking.
Perfect, yeah.
Just thought of that for aesthetic purposes. I wanted to highlight you.
Thank you. Here we go, good.
And thank you, Ruth, for pointing that out. Oh wait, okay. Hang on. It was just with me. Something about right. Inside of you, what's going on inside of you, the people around you can't see. They don't know. It's pretty much like the people that are witnessing your Butoh and witnessing you in general, whenever, have their own experience of you in their bodies. And I mean, that's what we all are. We're having all of our own experiences in our own bodies. So another thing I'm really curious about, and maybe this, I don't know, this is my last question, but there could be more if you feel like you still want to talk more. So Cooper, if the external world, if there's so much pressure on us as individuals um, to adhere to external expectations, to uh, kind of like the easy way to live is to perceive ourselves from the outside. At least that's what I grew up knowing. I think that you and I have talked a bit about that in our work and research. Um, Butoh I see as a practice in focusing and honing in one's ability to stay present with the self enough, maybe long enough, to take yourself seriously, to
Mm.
take what is going on inside of you as its own world, worthy of respect and time and space. And maybe I'm wondering, do you feel yourself moving in that direction toward, you know, the more you practice this Butoh and the mindset of Butoh and sensitizing your body, does it become any easier to kind of silence that external expectation and the competition with capitalism and tension and consumerism?
Mm.
How is that process inside of you right now?
Thank you. The world changes after I do Butoh. As soon as I open my eyes again after a Butoh, it's like waking up from surgery. I feel like I've blacked out, and I experienced it, and that was one thing. And then when I watch it, that's even a whole nother experience. The act of doing Butoh is entirely presence, and the immediacy of action, the urgency to dance because we're always moving. We have blood running through us, and we're never truly quite still. With the presence inside during Butoh, I never feel what we call in English self-consciousness. Butoh is such a escape from what you say, yeah, is the like trepidation and turmoil of the world with all of its expectations, social cues, social punishments, social rewards, meritocracy, like the currency of presentation, and like gender identity is definitely taken away. The skill of finding presence and not actually becoming present with an embodiment of anything, but being present for absolutely nothing, is a skill that I first really encountered when I first did neutral as an actor. Working with neutral over the past few months gives Butoh a really specific flavor that I would say for me is the words merge with my environment. I see in neutral and in Butoh, if I hear an ambulance drive by, that ambulance noise could be coming from me, or I don't have to try to offset it or ignore it or correct it or deny that it's happening. There's no rejection of any of the external stimuli. It's just an entire presence and merging with all of the sensory input that I'm receiving in both neutral and in Butoh, the differences in Butoh. Something sees me and latches itself onto me in a way that neutral does not allow for. I think that difference is not a mindset difference at all. It is a shift in consciousness. It is an entire body, mind, ego shift. There's this thing in Butoh, a term coined by Tatsumi Hijikata, the sub-body. We have a subconscious, but around us we always have a sub-body that is acting with us and for us. And we're always, like I said, dancing. Just to sort of give you an image of this, one day in the park, performance lab members were doing some Butoh in the sun, and all of a sudden what happened is I could feel a invisible worm crawling across my face, like a fuzzy little worm, and it was tickling, and I had the sun in my face, my eyes were closed, but this little worm that was dancing on my face, that was imagined, part of my sub-body, it affected my facial expressions. I danced for this worm. I didn't dance for a song that was produced. I didn't dance for money or recognition. This sub-body worm crawling all around my face felt comfortable. This worm latched itself onto me and used my face to get me to do a little dance for it. And of course I obliged.
From what you said a little bit ago, it sounds like, I don't know if responsibility is the correct word, but maybe autonomy. I have a sense of autonomy for you as you continue in your exploration of Butoh and your everything that's inside of you. Yeah, like here it is. Autonomy separate from external control, external influences, external. Do you get what I'm kind of trying to say? I think that without an awareness of what we are inside through and through, the external world kind of comes off to us as a very scary thing that we can't control. But indeed, here we are, you and I, talking about how Butoh is this thing that is a universe in itself inside of us to explore. And wow, doesn't that give us so much autonomy?
I couldn't have said it better myself. The entire universe is in there to explore.
And I think responsibility, what was coming up, the word is then like, so if we have this autonomy, which I believe that we do, and we can cultivate it and learn and grow with it, then we can choose better. We have more of a choice, and we have more space to how we respond to the external world, and that's a responsibility.
Yeah.
I see one of our witnesses here has a comment. Please do share.
I have a question for both Cooper and Sivan, since you both did Butoh today.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about grief and polarities, and I'm just curious how Butoh comes in to that dialogue that we have as artists, researchers, as autoethnographers, this question of hope versus nihilism, like what Sivan was talking about. Because Butoh is, we see it and it appears very dark. And, and that is the idea, is to explore the depths of, those places. I just want to, there's a quote here I just want to read from Hijikata, that the third component to Butoh is to look at the living world as a dead spirit from another world. We call this the near life body, which has the opposite position as that of near death. This is one of the most inspiring aspects of Butoh to me. And I'm just curious how these ideas and your performance today, and in general with Butoh, just this question of grief and hope and exploring that.
Can I, Cooper, before you go, because I see you're bubbling with it. So I
want you to go. I just want to say thank you for that, Jocko.
And I have two quotes that I want to share. One quote is from our dear friend, Teaspoon Caballero, Teaspoon earlier today said, "It's a cycle." I didn't write down what they said next, but about how it's not about striving to be better or happy. It's just about being in the cycle as it is, and that just spoke volumes to me. The next quote that I want to share is from Jay Ruby. We had a very sweet conversation last week. Met up in person, had a walk by the creek, and he shared something that he had been curating for a long time in him. And so I want to quote Jay Ruby's words here. "All identity dissolves. All community is ephemeral. Performance is a practice of impermanence." Jay Ruby. And I think that Butoh is like, I don't know, the icing on the cake, the practice of impermanence. And nihilism and hope, I don't know, but here we are in this moment and it's all going to change. So
yeah.
Go ahead, Cooper.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's so beautiful that we're pulling quotes from people who have really inspired us, originators and practitioners of Butoh and other expressive arts. When we as young artists step onto a stage, we are entering a sacred space that has been held for us. It's the past generation of artists is holding it, and they're going, "Come, come. We've been getting this ready for you to take. Come, come." But you have to be ready. You have to be cleansed. You have to hold this sacred space. And when the next generation of artists after you come, you have to do the same for them. You need to hold the sacred space for them to take on and to hold, so they can prepare it then for the next generation of artists. So I love the quotes that you've brought up, and I love the people who spoke these quotes and spoke this wisdom and shared it freely and did not guard this knowledge. That is so revolutionary. I hate death. I love life. I hate death. I hate feeling, like, why do I get to go on when I've seen people have to leave? I can't go with them. They had to leave everything behind, but I'm still here. And before I do Butoh, I have to think about all those moments where I have felt like death left me behind, or life left me behind, or I've felt lost in between the two at some point. I lost a pet this year that was really, really special and very important to me. And when she died, I got to spend time just holding her. I didn't give her away. She wasn't tossed. She was dead. And I got to hold her and remember her and to connect and not feel like this corpse was without, my pet, the soul of my pet, that she was dirty or just suddenly gone. It was like I could take time to hold her and ornament her, like such an old practice, and to interact that way with not just the corpse of my pet, this dead bird, my chicken, who I loved so, so much, and to be able to give her body the respect that I believed it really deserved, that material component of death and grief, but to also have that time in order to better recognize and feel and understand her life and how happy she was, how she just would eat whatever she could eat. If she couldn't eat it, she didn't take it personally. She would just get up and keep walking away. And I think Butoh can be like that. A piece of grass has such a short lifespan compared to us as humans, but the life and death of that grass can teach us everything we even need to feel about our own life and death. Just spend that day watching it wilt and then letting it go back into the earth. It's a lesson on impermanence right then and there, and to dance that dance as a corporal like existence right now, where I have sensations and my soul reaches the tips of my fingers and, up to my hair and down to my toes. I really feel that it's always a dance. Even standing in line at the pharmacy, hearing the music, somebody's coughing behind me, doing a dance. And it's all impermanent, it's always changing. So for all the moments that death has caught me off guard, I think of that during Butoh, and it feels like embers. Just feels like slow burning embers that are okay. A radical acceptance. Thank you, Jocko.
I appreciate that sensorial imagery, burning embers. Thank you, Cooper. Thank you, everyone, for witnessing,
Thank you,
for
everyone.
supporting. All right, everyone. So this has been Cooper Butoh. Wonderful discussion. Thank you so much, Cooper.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, we are doing a radio play on a utopian vision of what can be. It's called The Proclamation of the Utopian States of America. We will be going live at 6 p.m. Arizona time. So join us for that. Thank you, everyone.